Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Fran McKeown. I am the owner of Vertical Farming Ireland, trading as Irish Microgreens. First off, thank you very much for your questions. I have 32 of them here which I'm going to answer, which is essentially all of them. Now, as you can imagine, because there's so many of them, I'm going to have to fly through them in kind of rapid fire fashion. I could have picked a fewer number and did a longer explanation on each one, but I think at this point, giving you a broad general understanding of what I'm all about and what entrepreneurship is and running your own business is all about is probably preferable. So first off, what is micro veg? Well, technically, they're microgreens, and that's them there. So basically what you have here is a black punnet, plastic punnet, that's filled with compost. Seeds are sown on top. Those white things there coming down are roots, and then these things grow out of the top of them. If I can get the camera to focus in there. So that's basically what we sell, these things. They're completely edible. They're just tiny little plants. Each one of these is a pea plant. If you let each one of these little plants grow, it'd grow to be about 3 foot tall and would have pea pods and the garden peas that I'm sure you're familiar having with your dinner. So that's what it is out of the way. The next question, there are no particular order by the way, because I don't have the time to organize things. Apologies again, but we're under a time constraint here. How did COVID affect me? We supply restaurants and hotels, the food service. That's the industry that we supply. So for COVID in Ireland, for 2 years, all those establishments were closed, which means we were closed. We were completely wiped out by COVID. What inspired you to start your own business? I've always wanted to start my own business. I don't know why or how it came about. I didn't know anybody who started their own business. I wasn't in the loop of business owners or anything of the sort. Had it in my head from day dot that I wanted to work for myself. I had 20 different jobs in 20 different industries over a 15 to 20 year period, and in each and every one of them I looked at my boss and wondered to myself, why am I working for this person? So right or wrong, I've just always wanted to do it. I don't entirely know why, but that's the honest answer. Pricing strategy. Pricing strategy was very simple. It's already dictated by the market. So we didn't invent microgreens. They were already existing in the marketplace. We came in at the same price, and that was that. We didn't come in any cheaper because we didn't feel the need. We didn't come in any more expensive because nobody would have bought them off us. The reason that people bought off us at the same price as other people was because we were able to guarantee quality and consistency throughout the year. Hence, it's all grown indoors, under lights, in a perfectly controlled environment. That's essentially our USP. Most difficult part of growing a business, cash flow. Simple as, cash flow is very, very, very easy to understand. You need to bring in more money than goes out. It's that straightforward. You don't need to know anything more about cash flow running a business. Running a business and growing a business aren't the same thing though. So cash flow is incredibly important when you're growing a business, because it's one thing keeping the money coming in higher than the money going out when you're just running it, but how do you grow your business? You can't grow your business because you want to grow your business. You need to invest in something, whether it's machinery or manpower or stock. Different jobs or different businesses in different industries have different investments. For me, when I want to expand, I need to buy more seed. I need to buy more punnets. I need to buy more substrate. I need to put more money in the heater. I need to buy more lights. I need to buy more shelving. I have to expand the business. And in order to expand the business, you have to spend money. But expanding your business doesn't generate more income. Increasing your sales and selling and getting the money in for what you've sold, that increases your revenue in. But that doesn't happen straight away. So there's a lag between you investing in expanding and the money coming in. And that's why cash flow is so important, particularly when you're expanding a business. Sources of finance at the start versus now. At the start, it was a shoestring. It was basically just what I had scrimped and saved over the years. It was what was in the bank account. And then when I actually started selling, whatever money that I earned went straight back into the business. So I practically didn't take a penny out of the new business that I started for a year. So you need the money to start your business, whatever that business is, the amounts vary, but you need that money, and you need probably a year's salary, so that you can eat and live and pay your mortgage or pay your rent or whatever it is. And that was at the start, and now it's bank loans. We've never gotten any kind of government assistance, it's bank loans. I'm in the middle of a big expansion now, so I'm going to the bank again looking for, I'm not sure what we'll be looking for, it'll be somewhere in the region of 50 to 100 grand, which is a massive amount of money on one hand, but a small amount of money when you're running a business. Advice for someone thinking of starting their own business. Start small. There's essentially two ways that you can go about starting a business. You can do it the way I did it, which is do it all yourself. And the way it's usually phrased is, you have to ask yourself, do you want to be a big part of something small or a small part of something big? I've always wanted to be a big part of something small. And it's not that I want to be a big part of something small, but I want to be in control. That's my whole shtick. I do all the electrical work, I do all the plumbing, I do all the delivering, I do all the buying, I do all the sales. It's all on me. Now, as the business has grown to the size, I've had to employ people to take some of that workload off me, and I'm going to have to get an operations manager in here to run the place while I run the business. Because the problem that I have at the minute is I'm too caught up in the day-to-day running of the business. I'm working in the business and not on the business, and there's a big difference between those two things. How do you manage your competition? Well, as I said already, our USP, our unique selling point, is that we guarantee supply and consistency and quality. In here, the temperature is regulated, the humidity is regulated, the lighting is regulated, the aeration, the watering cycle, the humidity, everything is monitored. 365 days of the year, 24 hours of each one of those 365 days. And that means that we can guarantee our customers consistency of our product and regularity of it. We'll be in your yard 52 weeks of the year without exception on a Tuesday at 2 o'clock if that's when you want it. It's set up like clockwork. My business operates more like a factory, a manufacturing factory, than it does a horticulture business. And when I started, and thankfully now up until this point, my competition are in glass houses, and the stuff grows quicker on sunny days and slower on colder, less sunny days. Best way to avoid bankruptcy? Fantastic question, and it ties into cash flow earlier. More money coming in than going out. That's the quickest and easiest and best way to avoid bankruptcy. Important entrepreneurial characteristics. Being creative. The way I see it, there are two people that get involved in business, and they're business people on one hand and entrepreneurs on the other hand. And I think it's very important that you understand the difference. So somebody who I would consider to be a business person is somebody that might open up a McDonald's. You open up a McDonald's give you a playbook. They tell you how long to cook the burgers for where to buy the meat, where to do this, how to do that, how to manage staff. It's a playbook. It's a play-by-play playbook. They tell you exactly what you have to do. And a business person will follow every single line. They'll tick every little box, and they'll run a successful company. And that's fantastic. But an entrepreneur, on the other hand, is somebody who tends to break the mold. There was nothing like this on the island of Ireland until I built it. And that's just me. And the way I knew that I was creative in hindsight was my interests in different things. I have 101 different interests in 101 different things. I'm always looking at the next big thing, the next new thing. I'm interested in everything. And that allows me to do the plumbing and the electrical work and the sales and the marketing and the business and the delivering and all the rest of it, everything that comes with it. So to be an entrepreneur, know the difference between an entrepreneur and a business person. An entrepreneur has to be a creative person. If you're not remotely creative, it means you cannot be an entrepreneur as far as I'm concerned. You can be a business person. There are plenty of very, very, very successful business people in the world who aren't entrepreneurs. They're not creative people. So it's just something to be wary of and to maybe have a think about. If you're not creative, go into business with somebody who is creative. I am creative, and what I desperately need now is to have somebody join my business who isn't creative. Because non-creative people like things regimented. They like everything to be in its place. A place for everything and everything in its place. Creative people tend to be a bit more lackadaisy with where everything goes and all the rest of it. So I've struggled with the orderliness of my business, and I would benefit from somebody who is not like me. A little tip that's coming to mind: if you're getting into business with somebody else, don't get into business with somebody who's very like you, because there's two of the same person. You're far better off with getting into business with somebody who's different than you, because they'll excel at some things and you can excel at other things, instead of both of you excelling in one thing or several things and failing at one thing or several other things. What are your distribution channels? So when I opened the business, I had a choice. I could go straight to restaurants. I could have 200 or 300 customers and get a much higher profit margin for my produce. But that meant that I have 200 deliveries to make, 200 people's names to remember, 200 checks to collect at the end of the month. I opted for a different route. I went for central distribution. So we have 5 customers, but instead of sending them 5 or 6 boxes a week, we send them 500 or 600 boxes a week. I don't get a fraction of the profit margin that I would dealing with more customers on a smaller scale, each one, but it just suited my personality better to stack them high and sell them cheap. So that's essentially my distribution channel. We supply restaurants and hotels primarily, but not directly. We supply wholesale food service distributors. So we have 5 customers, but we're supplying 1,000 restaurants. I don't have any dealings directly with the end user of my product. This is a business to business business. Percentage increase on year. What has been my percentage increase year on year? We haven't far off doubled since we started. Now, on one hand, that sounds amazing, but on the other hand, the reality is we started very small. So my business turned, as in gross sales in year 1, was somewhere in the region of 30,000 euro. Practically nothing. That's why I said from the outset, if you're starting up your own business, you need the money to set it up and you need the money to live for the first year, because the likelihood of you making enough money to survive off your business in year 1 is very, very, very slim. So it went from 30 to 60 to 120 to 240 to 480, which is where we're floating around at the minute. You have to remember, I'm in business nearly 8 years, 7.5, but we were closed for 2 years for Mr. COVID. So am I a sole trader or a limited company? So I've been a sole trader from day dot. I have a limited company and I'm just in the middle of transitioning from a sole trader to a limited company. I'm looking forward to that transition because as a sole trader, I am the business. Literally speaking, I am the business. When I have my limited company up and running, it means that I can step away from it. The business is a separate legal entity that I am essentially employed by. And that I'm looking forward to having that distinction, because the business being me is a lot of pressure over 8 years. So it would be nice to kind of separate myself from the business. How do you advertise your business? I don't. There are only about 10 large food service suppliers in Ireland, and I'm already supplying the best 6 of them, say. So I don't need to advertise my business at all. I may advertise it in the future, but for the first 8 years, I've never had to spend a penny on marketing. It's just the industry that I'm in. Am I operating at full efficiency? Not even close. So the grow room that you can see behind me and around me took me 7 years to build. As you can imagine, it started off very small, and then I added a bit to it, and I added a bit to it, and I added a bit to it. And now I have this entire tunnel full. It took me 7 years to do that. I'm in the process of building another tunnel, which will take me about 3 months to build. So from 7 years to build in bits and pieces over the years to from scratch in 3 months. And it'll be infinitely more efficient than this one. So as soon as that's up and running, this will be closed down, ripped down and built to mirror the new one I'm after building. So I'm not nearly as efficient as I could be. Next stage of the expansion is the next question, and I essentially just outlined it there. Do you plan to diversify your product offering? Yes, there's half a dozen different things that I can grow in this same environment, but we've been a victim of our own success to a degree because the sales keep going up and up and up of this stuff, and we haven't the capacity to grow the other products that we want to eventually start selling. That's not a bad complaint by any stretch of the imagination. Can I expand into other markets? Yes, I most certainly can. So as I said, we're supplying into food service, so restaurants and hotels, but retail is absolutely in our future. What was the gap in the market that I identified? Availability. The majority of growers in Ireland at the time when I set up my own business, it was a seasonal crop. This stuff would only grow in a glass house between, I don't know what it is, April and September. So you're leaving October, November, December, January and February, you're leaving that to imports. So when I opened up, I said I was 52 weeks of the year, no exceptions. So that was essentially the gap in our market. Yeah, that was the gap in the market. What does a normal day consist of? You tell me. If you like order, and if you like every day kind of being the same and clocking in and clocking out, don't set up your own business. Because today, for example, I had a solenoid valve that I had to take apart. I had a delivery of timber for the new grow room that we're building to take in. We got a box delivery and that had to be unloaded. I had to water everything. There was no sowing, boxing or composting done today. I had to move stuff in a different tunnel for another different reason. And now I'm recording this video to you guys. So that's my typical day. My typical day, you wouldn't know what I'd be doing. Now, there is a lot of the same thing going on here because we do the same thing all the time. We sow twice a week and we deliver twice a week, but it really is a mixed bag and I like that. I like chopping and changing. It can be stressful and frustrating, but if you're not able for stress and frustration, don't start your own business. Big shout out to my brother, Mr. Aidan McKeown, for organising this again. I hope that was helpful. If you've any follow-up questions, maybe on the back of what I've answered, please let your teachers know. And thanks again for giving me the opportunity. And on that note, I'll chat to you soon.